Hey Turtle Nerds, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I built this above ground 500 gallon DIY turtle pond for like 200 bucks maximum. Let's take a look. By going dumpster diving just where they were doing construction, I found all of this scrap wood for free. I didn't even spend a dime on a 2x4, which helped save me a ton of money. Once I had all of my wood, I had to figure out how tall I wanted the enclosure to be. So I decided on 2 3/4 feet high, which is about 6 2x6s high. Basically 6 planks high, and so I had to cut these posts. These were going to go in each of the corners to that length. I had to make sure that they were all the same height. That way everything would be nice and square and line up nicely, hopefully. Once I had my posts cut to size, I was able to kind of get an idea and frame things out of how long or wide I wanted this to be. Something very important to keep in mind when cutting your pieces of wood is that if I want it to be 8 feet long, I would have to cut 9 feet of length because there's 6 inches on either side that gets eaten up by my posts. So you have to add a foot onto either the length or the width. So here I'm cutting my pieces to 8 feet. I decided to add that extra foot of length onto the wide pieces because it's much easier to find a 5-foot piece than a 9-foot piece. So I've got my 2 piles 8 feet across, and I've got my 2 piles over here 4 something feet across to stack 6 boards, and then I got plenty of extra wood. My next step is to lay down my 4x4s, my posts, and start screwing in all of the planks that I cut to size. While drilling some of my pilot holes, the bit broke somehow. I don't understand how that happened, but anyways, I made sure to drill pilot holes, which is basically just pre-drilling the holes before you put the screw in, so that way they would go in nice and smooth. I then lifted up the wall to see how flat it would lay, and it actually didn't lay flat at all. You see, the bottom piece of wood was warped so badly that it ended up lifting in the middle, so that way it would teeter-totter left and right, which was not good. So my quick and easy solution was just to flip it around upside down and see if that worked. And it did. I did a little strength test here, just making sure that it could at least hold me, and sure enough, this thing was completely solid and didn't bow even a little bit. Now, once I had my walls set, I was able to make the width however wide I wanted to. If I wanted to make it wider, I could. If I wanted to make it super skinny, I could do that. All I would have to do is cut those 2x6s to size. I cut them to size and stack them all up on either end. Here you can see me pre-drilling all my pilot holes and basically doing the same process except with the side pieces. After completing the first side, I did the same exact thing on the other side. I'd line up my boards, kind of cut them to size, and screw them in. You guys want to see how I move this thing? Watch this. In order to protect the liner, I'm going to get ready to lay down an underlayment, but before I even do that, I want to sweep things up to make sure that there's no debris at the bottom of this pond. So next I added this geotextile underlayment, this fabric, in order to try to protect the liner and preserve it a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and line it all the way around, and I'm going to use as few staples as possible just in order to keep it upright. The pressure from the weight of the water would make sure that everything stays in place, so next it was time to add this Aquascape 45mm EPDM liner. I got this liner off of Craigslist a few years ago, and I actually found a hole when I was laying everything out, so luckily I have a patch kit. I'm just going to take this little patch and toss it on. I'm going to use some regular rubbing alcohol just to make sure that the spot is nice and clean, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the seal on, and of course, as soon as I started to put it on, my camera fell. But worry not, because the seal, it was on. It's good. It's freaking flat. Look at my little rolly thing. It was pretty fun. I'd say that this next part is one of the hardest parts of doing a build like this. It's getting all of the wrinkles out of the liner. You basically just have to keep manipulating it like I did to my ex-girlfriend as much as humanly possible until you've got it somewhere that you want it. I also added a few inches of water just to add some pressure to get the rest of the wrinkles out. In order to make the liner easier to work with, I'm gonna go ahead and trim it up. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. Cool, fun transition, quirky, haha. All right, and then I went ahead and kept filling this up a majority of the way. This is where I've really got things looking pretty good. I added some pond plants as well that I had from my original pond, some lily pads, and some other aquatics. Because I'm a big idiot, dumb, stupid, small brain, I put on this brace and I put the screws on the other end. So normally you would put this brace on afterwards to help clamp the liner down, but I forgot. So instead I cut slits in the corners to release the tension and stop the wrinkles from forming, and the tension from the liner against the walls is going to hold it in place, and the wood trim that I have around it is just going to add to that support. I also have this middle support that was clamping down the liner as well. After adding my final layer of 2x6 all the way around as a trim and to clamp down my liner, I went around and cut the excess liner off to make it all look a little bit more finished. The final step was pretty much to build my lid, so here I went ahead and did just that. I'm using these metal brackets to keep everything nice and rigid and in place, and I'm joining the wood at these corners and screwing everything in nice and tight just to make sure that everything stays in place. And then I was ready to get my staple gun and add this poly-coated wire mesh. This mesh I got for maybe $40 from Amazon, and then I use it with the staple gun in conjunction with the staples, and it makes a really solid predator proofing mechanism. I was super surprised at how durable and strong this stuff is. Now, as a thunderstorm came rolling in, all I had left to do was screw these plates onto the top so that way it could hinge open and closed, and screw on my locked latches, and I was pretty much done. So I just put these blocks of wood right here nice and flush with this so I can put my locked latch right here, so that way there's absolutely nothing in, nothing out. Not only that, but these staples and this wire together, I am pushing down and there's no getting through that. I also have my hinges done, so these bad boys can lift up all the way, flip over, and come right down onto here, where I'm going to have my locked latch here, lock latch on the other side. Nothing in, nothing out, no one in, no one out. Baba boy. Despite working through the thunderstorm and the rain, I was able to get my latches on, and now that I had my locks on there, it was safe to add the turtles. All right, even though it's pouring rain, the first critter, Miss Blueberry. Go ahead into your new enclosure. Next up, we have the two other bean babies, Blondie and Waffle, both actively trying to bite me as I took them out here. There we go. Be free. All right, Miss Flip, go. Don't eat the rocks immediately. All right, and her boyfriend, he wants nothing to do with me. More critters in the ring. More critters in the ring. Let's grab these two crazy gals and let's get going. Please don't bite me. All right, you stay there. I'm coming back for you. Miss Bean, let's get you in your new enclosure. Here you go, babes. Not into the bucket. Hi. You are next, cutie patootie. Here she goes. Grab a breath on your own. Now let's let her go. And that just leaves Pretty Boy Pancake. Mr. Pancake decided to have an attitude today. He's threatening to bite me. Well, it's because you're not with your wife. Let's fix that. He's looking to bite. Go ahead, Bubby. Go ahead, take a breath. No? You ready to go? There you go, dude. Find yourself a new girlfriend? Go! Hello, babies. If I was smarter, I probably would have just drilled holes right here and here for the intake and the overflow for the filtration, but I'm just gonna figure out something different for right now. And maybe eventually later I'll add that on. Hi, babe. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know any questions that you have about this build, and I will hopefully answer them in the next video. Thanks again for your support, and I'll see y'all in the next one.